Hey, you're listening to Toasted Time, where I cook your time with some Reddit stories. Right now, you're being toasted with some r/AskReddit, where we find out women of Reddit who choose to be a side chick to a taken man. Why did you do it, and how did it end? With one response coming from you/Shiny a gimmick. Oh, when I can answer. To clarify, I'm not trying to justify what I did and fully acknowledge it was wrong. I'm just trying to explain what factors led to the situation. I had just started a new job and after a few months ended up completely falling for my married boss. I knew it was wrong and tried to keep my distance, but we had a bunch of business trips together, which resulted in a lot of one-on-one time. Mentally, I was in a really dark place. I had a string of dates that didn't go anywhere, where I felt rejected and used, gained 40 pounds, and my self-esteem plummeted. Meanwhile, I had this super attractive, successful guy at work lifting me up, telling me I'm smart, beautiful, and that any guy who isn't into me is an idiot. Anytime that I was with him, I would finally feel alive again and felt like we just had magnetic chemistry. He also admitted to feeling the same way towards me. We tried not to do anything, but after a year of tension, we finally ended up hooking up. I knew he was married. I knew it was wrong. I never met the wife, but thought she must be a much better person than I was. My colleagues had met her and knew she was beautiful, fit, and seemed really kind. I was at such a low point in my life that I would take the scraps just to be with him. It was a tumultuous relationship, and I had tried to end it many times, but because we literally worked together in a tiny office, and I still had intense feelings for him, it would start back up. I tried dating other people to take my mind off things, but couldn't because I was so in love with him. I felt trapped and would frequently cry in the office bathroom knowing I needed to get out somehow. I ended up breaking it off with him, resigning and taking a $70K pay cut just to get myself out of the situation ASAP. Then, COVID hit, and the new company sealed back their operations, and because I was a new employee, I was laid off. I then spent the next year in a super deep depression, but eventually managed to get myself out of it. So, I honestly didn't set out to have a relationship with a married man. I just kind of fell into it over time and made a series of poor decisions. The wife ended up finding out after I had already resigned, and I know she is the main victim here, and I feel terrible that I hurt someone innocent. I have since landed back on my feet, gotten a new job, lost all the weight I gained, and I'm feeling far more confident in myself. Obviously, I stay away from married men, and if the situation had happened now instead of at such a low point in my life, I would like to think that I would make better decisions. I guess I'm writing all this in response to the comment stating that these women are always heartless bitches who want to win over a married man. I mean, sure, that can be the case, but there are also situations which are far more nuanced. And then another response, in accordance to the last message, is from Thigh1221. This right here, very similar situation. Worked very closely under a supervisor, and due to the nature of our jobs, we worked a ton of hours together. We had a lot in common, and after about a year, we started realizing we had a strong connection without realizing how deep it had gotten before we had a grasp. We were both in very tumultuous, unhappy marriages. We have now been together happily for 4 years and getting married next year. I'm not proud of the people that were hurt in the process and how our story started, although we both would have ended up divorced whether we met each other or not. I knew how much judgment he and I would face moving forward, but it was something I had to learn to accept and ignore. The one thing I can say is you cannot judge until you're in that situation. I was one that used to judge and never understood it until I went through it myself. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And then someone underneath that asks, so genuine question. I get realizing that you have feelings for someone and being unhappy in your marriage, but why not separate from your partners before starting up the relationship? Or was there not an actual overlap? You kind of skimmed past that part. And then Thigh responds to that. He had a lot of pressure from his family. They don't believe in divorce and were coming down pretty hard on him. My husband at the time was going through a stressful change in career, and I didn't want to drop that on him. Was just not an easy, straightforward decision. And now on to the next question of, when did you realize that your partner was not, in fact, the one? And the first response comes from Sammy Mac UK. This isn't a sad or dramatic one. We had a really good girlfriend and boyfriend type relationship, but when shiz got real and long-term commitments like marriage, buying a house, having a baby appeared over the horizon, we both freaked out and bailed. Catalyst was my mate's wedding towards the end of the relationship, and I was embarrassed at how leery and drunk she was being. She was annoyed that I was being no fun and wouldn't dance. There was no one else on the dance floor. We're still friends now. My wife is nothing like my ex, and my ex's new partner is nothing like me. Everyone involved made the correct decision. And then someone by Stronger Thongs replies, I had a wedding catalyst realization as well. This guy and I dated through high school, and he wanted to get married the moment I turned 18. We honestly had real love for each other, but I was already reticent to get married that young and wanted to graduate first. His best friends got married when they were 18 to 19-ish, and because he was in the bridal party, I sat alone and just had a jolt of panic run through me during the ceremony. I didn't want my life to be that way. I didn't want to get married the moment I stopped being a child and immediately have children and stay in my hometown forever. All my romantic love for him vanished because I realized he was trying to guilt me into having a life I didn't want so he could have the life he wanted. Took a while for me to manage breaking up with him, but I knew I needed to from that moment. And then down below is another response from Natalia1702. He screamed at me in public in front of our friends when I beat him at a board game. And then someone down below says, was it Monopoly or Uno? And she responds back, I tried really hard to remember and realized I messed up at the comment. It wasn't a board game, it was a Magic the Frickin' Gathering. He literally had a win con so he could win at the beginning of the round, and I killed him off. He got so mad he yelled at me in front of like 6 other people that I target him and that I'm a biatch. And then underneath that is from Sterling, this is why I stopped playing Magic. It was making my friends pissed because our friend group was mostly budget decks, and then there were 2 friends who dropped hundreds of dollars to get insanely good decks. If you didn't target them, they won, but if you targeted them, they got mad. I got sick of it. That's stupid. And then further down is a depressing comment from a person who goes by Lister Friend Lurks. When I went to the airport to pick her up, flowers in hand, and stood there until the last of the luggage had been picked up before I realized she hadn't even gotten on the plane. And then down below that, someone says, wait, did she just never get on or missed her flight? I need more context, please. I agree. And then he says, she ghosted me initially. I had to call her mother to make sure she was physically okay, but she refused to talk to me and ignored me for like 3 weeks. And then they come back and say, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And then he says, yeah, it was weird as to me as well because right before she boarded her plane home after the last trip, we said, I love you for the first time to each other. So I thought things were going well. In retrospect, it should have been a red flag to me that she did something similar to her ex by completely ghosting him as well because she was bored with him. Damn, what a sociopath. Sorry you had to go through that. It's cool. I found someone way better shortly after, and I had the satisfaction of letting the girl who ghosted me know when she finally reached out after 1 month to try to remain friends. Told her that I was starting to see a new girl from Denmark. I was in California, and her response was, this was a mistake, and blocked me again. Lol. I ended up marrying the second girl, and we are still together 16 years later. Sounds like her ghosting you was a blessing in disguise, lol. Glad it helped you to get to know someone better while she didn't. I guess that's your revenge. Best revenge is living your best life while they're sitting there collecting broken pieces. You won. And for the final question of today, what habits of girls did you only find out about when you got a girlfriend/wife? And then the first comment I saw is definitely a different one. Starting off from usual ad 730. When you first start dating a woman and you are living in separate spaces, taking off her bra means sexy time. When you live with said woman, she just never wears a bra at home. And then down below that starts the conversation of, once the bra comes off, that's it for the day. She is not going outside the house again until tomorrow. And you're now responsible for any knocks or deliveries. And then someone else below that says, my wife will sprint into the bedroom if we have something being delivered and leave it all to me. This is new levels of avoiding answering the door. But I did sign up for this life and I'm happy with my choice. And then behind that is, I hid behind a wall in the dining room once to avoid our regular postman because I didn't have any pants or bra on and couldn't get to the bedroom without seeing me through the front door. My husband had his headset on and couldn't hear the doorbell, so no one answered the door. When I went looking for the parcel, I found it on the back veranda steps, which meant he would have had a full view of me hiding from him. And then below that is, delivery drivers are the new window washers, the stories they could tell. My postie was a total bro. He never let on he had seen my bare butt when I'd seen him next. And then further down in this Ask Reddit question is someone by Lao Ba. How tricky it is to find a well-fitting bra and how darn expensive they are. And the whole favorite bra, looking good bra, never worn bra, and changing your underwear every day doesn't involve bras. Not at all. I'm not sure if a bra falls under underwear like in my luggage, and then they put an edit. I have never learned so much about women's underwear in my entire life. Well, we don't secrete daily from our chest on average, unlike what they tell you in hentai. Unless it's summer, under boob sweat is real. And then someone says cries in postpartum. And underneath that is, I learned this when my wife asked me to pack a bag for her to go out of town. She wasn't sure the exact number of days, so I packed 7 outfits. She called laughing that night, asking why I packed nearly every bra she owned. And then underneath that is, the final comment in this is, I bought my wife a new bra about 6 months ago. This week, she asked me to buy 2 more of the exact same bra. I think that's the proudest I've been in my married life. Anywho, I think that's just about it for today's video. I hope to see you in the next video, and until then, have a good one.